right, everyone, good morning. My name is Jen. Welcome to 10 a.m. Sunday stretch class. If we're ready to go, I have my 6-foot PVC pipe. You can use a broom handle, whatever sturdy, longer stick that you have. It will be kind of the core that we work around for this and every session that we do. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll spend most of the time in the beginning here in a standing position. Let's start warming up our feet. Okay, so plant the stick into the ground, closer to your body, right in between, right down the midline, and extend the stick away from your body, gripping straight down, arm parallel to the earth. Okay, and start by bringing your heel up as high as you can, pressing your 5 digits into the ground, working through a nice slow movement. Really, as you raise up, it's on a 1 count and a 2 count coming down. So you can really feel that articulation through the foot and the ankle and the muscles uniquely. Now, as you do so, your knees driving forward, but your hips stay nice and level. Okay, after 5 to 8 on the left foot, let's go ahead and move to the right foot. Being mindful of pressing each toe into the mat. Make sure they feel very active, maybe a little bit more spread apart than they might otherwise. I forgot to mention I'm in stocking feet. Hopefully you're in stocking feet as well, or barefooted. Good, as you continue to do that, I just remembered I forgot to mute you all. So I'm gonna go ahead and quickly do this. All right, there we go. Thanks for your patience. Okay, let's go back to the left foot and we'll start working from digit to digit. So let's go big toe to pinky toe, pressing each one into the mat, back and forth. And in your stance, your knees are bent. Good, and now start working through complete circles, driving that foot all the way down into the mat, starting with heel raised, then inner sole to heel, outer sole, and back to toe. And I'm working in a clockwise motion, really working through these big circles, pushing to the edges of my ankle mobility. And then change direction, go the other way. Get those flexors and extensors in your feet and lower leg active and awake. Good, now change, go to the opposite foot. I'm on my right foot and I'm working big toe to pinky toe, back and forth. Before I go to my circles. All right, now I'm going through my circle motion, big toe, pinky, outer edge, heel, inner edge, and back to big toe. And I'm changing direction. So I started with clockwise and now I'm going counterclockwise. And I like to do it so until that point where I can really feel that maybe just a slight burn in my shins and those muscles. So I know that I'm really working the muscles on up to my leg, not just in my foot and ankle. But I'm really getting them all the way up awake. Okay, good. Go ahead and shake your legs out. Now we're gonna move to the arms. We haven't done arms in a bit, so we're gonna go ahead and start there. We're gonna do, start with our casting, okay? So now here, if you have a smaller stick, it can sometimes be a little bit easier than the 6-foot stick. So if you had a 5 or even a 4-foot stick, you might have a little bit better handle on this. But starting with casting, we're gonna assume our normal stance with slightly bent knees, grasping the stick in the middle of the stick, extended straight out from your shoulders, so shoulder to arm is parallel to the floor. Now you want to grip the stick nice and firmly from thumb all the way to pinky, and then it's as though you're going fishing, okay? So you're going to send the end of the stick away, trying to make it parallel to the ground. and then retract. And I always use my opposite arm to help me retract. I want to keep a grip as strong as I can on the stick, but my pinky always wants to peel away and my elbow always wants to bend. So I try and help this out a little bit. So I'm grasping the stick with my right hand, but I'm left hand, excuse me, grasping the stick with my left hand, but using my right hand to help return the stick. So my start and finish, I have the stick parallel to the ground, just turning end to end. And here, we're really stretching the muscles in our forearm. And these muscles tend to get really tight. We don't give them a lot of opportunities to stretch. So that's why we struggle with this one. Okay, let's go ahead and change arms. Sticks now in my right hand, parallel to the ground. I'm gonna cast forward toward the wall and then retract back to my shoulder. And the goal is to keep it parallel, the stick, the arm nice and straight, and the pinkies wrapped around the pole. Relax to the tops of your shoulders here. You might feel this inclination for it to bunch up, so don't allow yourself to do that. Good. Okay, all right. We have 2 more movements to go here. Now we're gonna go through stirring the pot, okay? So again, grasping the stick in the middle, extending out, starting with really small circles. And I like to take my gaze down to the end of my stick and I'm drawing a small circle. Okay, now, but before I begin, I wanna create a little bit of tension on the lateral side of my body here. So armpit to hip is slightly more engaged on that left side, the side in which I'm holding the stick. And I'm gonna begin slowly drawing circles. And again, the grip on my stick, I want to be very firm. Okay, so I'm not drawing the circle by relaxing my grip and spinning the stick in my hand, in my grip. These circles being drawn because I'm mobilizing my wrist. Okay, check in with that arm, keep it nice and straight. Drawing those circles. Good, okay, change directions, start small. Firm grip, but don't grip through clench your jaw. Okay, firm grip on the stick, but don't clench your jaw. Good. As the circle gets bigger and bigger, you should be getting more movement in the wrist and not in the grip. So keep your mind set on gripping with your pinky. Okay, good. Whew. All right, go ahead and shake that arm out. Let's move to the opposite arm. And start with those small circles, arms extended parallel to the ground. Shoulder is down. Tension in your lat, tension your serratus anterior. And this is my non-dominant hand, and I can tell that this side needs a little bit more work. Okay, I'm going to change directions now, drawing my circles in a clockwise motion. Good. Okay, last element is going to be our propeller arm. Okay, so we'll extend the same way that we have been for all of these in a starting position, but now we're going to work on those deep interior rotator muscles. So gripping that stick very firmly, Keeping that arm very still, we're going to rotate as though it is the propeller on a plane. So that's your visualization with your stick. You're twisting. Keep it slow. As you get to the end range of your range of motion, you want to be slowing down. So you have a little bit of momentum going into that movement, but not a tremendous amount, such that you're going to over twist here. Now, for those of you that are on my Tuesday, Thursday Strong and Steady class, we work on these rotator muscles every class. So hopefully you're finding that you have increased mobility in this movement. All right, we don't do it weighted as we're doing now, but you should find like, oh, this isn't too terrible. My muscles are accustomed to this sort of movement. Okay, move the stick to the other hand. And let's start with the propeller with the opposite hand, shoulder down, jawline relaxed, arm parallel to the ground. Good, breathe through the movement, nice and easy. Good, 2 more circles, 1 and 2. All right, nicely done. Okay, coming back to center now, shake your arms out if you need to. Let's go ahead and start warming up the back and the chest. So nice wide grip on your stick. We'll be elevating the stick over our head, opening up our chest and sending it behind our body, okay? Inhale as you lift it up overhead. Exhale as you soften through the chest, allowing the stick to fall behind your, down your back. Now, perhaps this is a little bit easier than it might normally have been because we really loosen up the muscles in the arms. I'll be curious to hear from you guys if you find any difference in this stretch after having done that arm stretch going into it. Good. All right, if you're having an easy time, bring your grip in just a little bit on both sides. And think soft, soft, soft in the chest. As the stick goes behind your head, be aware. We don't want to press our hips forward to make it happen. We want to have real stillness in our body. We want our anterior, our front side to stay nice and tight. So I don't want your rib cage to be flaring out. If you feel that happening, then lengthen your grip on the stick. Exhale as you bring it back. If you feel like, oh, there's a spot that I might have trouble with, a sticky spot, exhale through it. Good, okay, now we'll do one arm at a time. We haven't done this in a bit. So we're gonna imagine that we're gonna put the stick in our right pocket and lift it up. Our right hand, our left bicep will reach our left ear, then allow it to fall behind your back. Bring it from back to front with the right arm and work in a circular fashion around your body. Keeping your arms as straight as you're able and your torso as straight as you're able. On this last circle, now change directions. Again, nice and still. Reaching, feel the element of your lower back reaching to come over into the front. Good, now let's just build on that lateral stretch just a little bit. Plant the stick on the left side, a little bit close like to your left foot, right in the midline, and extend your arm straight parallel to the floor. The stick is in my left hand and it extended out, okay? Now, my right arm, I'm gonna bend my elbow so it's at a nice right angle. And I'm gonna start lowering my left ear toward my left bicep. And then I'm gonna extend My right arm for the stick, reaching right bicep to right ear. My legs are remaining in their neutral position with a slight bend, not locked out. Okay, I'm gonna return to the standing position, right elbow bent. Now I'm gonna open up the side body again, lowering my left ear to left bicep, reaching with my right bicep toward my right ear, grabbing for the stick, opening up my serratus anterior, my lats. Come back to center, and we'll do that one more time. Exhale as you lower left ear to left bicep, reaching across, right bicep to right ear. Good, okay. Now we'll move the stick to the other side. So it's planted in the right hand, base of the stick closer to your right foot, end of the stick, the top of the stick extended away as your arm is extended parallel to the ground. Okay, knees are softly bent. We're gonna start lowering, bending at the waist, bringing our right ear to right bicep. Then we'll take that left bent arm and extend up over, reaching for the stick, bringing left bicep to left ear. Good, okay, come back to standing, soft bend in that left elbow. 2 more times now, okay. Opening up to the left, bending at the waist, lowering right ear to right bicep. Now go ahead and extend that left arm, bringing left bicep to left ear, reaching for that stick, being aware of where that left scapula is. Are you allowing it to ride up in your back, or are you keeping it stable? Okay, come back to center. And we'll do that last one here with that awareness of where that left shoulder blade's gonna live here. We want it to stay stable. We don't want it to ride up our back yet, okay? All right, so right arm is extended. Open up from the side, bending at the waist, lowering right ear to right bicep. Now extend that left arm toward the stick, opening up the side, ideally getting left bicep to left ear. Good, okay, come back to center. Nice job. Okay, now we're gonna warm up our hamstrings and glutes a little bit, and then we're gonna take a new movement. We're gonna tackle a new one and see how we do. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the stick on our upper traps. So we don't want it in our neck. We want it lower down into our upper traps. Our arms are extended long, palms out. Feet are planted into the ground slightly wider than your hips with a soft bend. Okay, these are our classic hip hinges, okay? So weight is even on the soles of your feet. We're gonna start hinging, sending your fanny toward the back wall, melting belly button through sternum toward the ground. Back is nice and flat. Exhale. Spend a second here. And then contracting through your hamstrings and glutes to bring that flat back up to standing. Let me give you a lateral view of this, okay? So exhale as you hinge, butt going back, flat back descending. Nice and relaxed. Good, now dig the heels in, contract through the hamstrings to come back up to standing, not rounding through the back right now. Engage your core and bring that flat back up to upright, okay? One last time. Exhale as you descend and hinge, maintaining that flat back. Relaxing, melting as far as you can, ribs meeting your inner thighs as you're able. Now, as you come up, we want a nice flat back. So maybe a little bit of extra tension in your armpits here as you dig your heels into the ground. Exhale and come to standing. Okay, good. Now we're gonna do that same movement, but we are gonna add some spinal articulation into it. So we're gonna grasp the stick at about hip distance apart, okay? And I'm gonna give you a side view. We're gonna roll down and then roll back up, okay? So the stick is just here as just an object for our arms to grasp, a frame of reference, but not really a tool in what we're doing necessarily, an active tool. Okay, so we have our feet as wide as our hips. Now, our goal is to bend all the way down to the ground with our fingertips reaching the earth. The wider your stance, the more readily you'll be able to meet the earth with your hands. So manage that distance as appropriate for you, okay? Now, my first action, once I have my stick set and I have a nice light grip on my stick, is I'm gonna bring my chin to my chest. And I wanna roll one vertebrae at a time down toward the ground, so I'm maintaining a tight low belly with belly button in. And my shoulders are softening and lowering, and I'm curving in the spine. Peeling my way down to the ground. And the energy of my words and the words in your head are meaningful, okay? Peeling, lowering one vertebrae at a time. Now, at some point here where the stick passes your shins, you'll want to transition your weight into the balls of your feet more so than your heels, and that will help you get just a little bit of extra distance reaching for the ground. And let's live here for just a second. Play around with the bend of your knees. Once your fingers reach the ground, your gaze should be between your knees. And how soft are your knees? Can you straighten them and create a little bit more distance between your pelvis and your heels? Really create length on that backside. Okay, now to position yourself to draw back up, the first action you're going to do is draw that belly button in and then start peeling. So you're going to transition back to your heels in your center of gravity, keeping your upper back nice and soft, restacking your vertebrae. And your last action is kind of resetting and pulling your shoulder blades back to a neutral position. Let's try that one more time. Visualize. I like in this visual, sometimes I have like dominoes in my mind's eye, visualizing the length and the process of unlocking each vertebrae going down to the ground. So pick something for you that has maybe some similar imagery. All right, so we're starting with a nice upright position. Lower your chin to your chest. Forehead begins dropping, shoulder blades and shoulders roll forward as belly button stays in. Good, as the bar reaches your shin level, then you transition your weight more toward the balls of your feet. And ideally, you can get just a little bit further the second time. Spend a couple breaths down here, as long as it's not too much tension in your head as you're gazing between your legs. Again, play around with how much your knees are bent versus how much they're straightened. And then we're initiating from our core to come back to standing. So draw that belly button in, stabilize that low belly, that transverse. Exhale as you pull one vertebrae at a time, restacking. One vertebrae on top of each other, slowly. Finishing with your shoulder blades in your head. Okay, nice job. All right, so you guys ready for the next movement? We've kind of loosened up our spine. We've loosened up our posterior chain. Now, this next movement, we're going to incorporate a little bit of rotational work, okay? So twisting. All right, so it's going to include a curtsy lunge, okay? So follow with me here. I have the stick planted in my right hand, okay? So my first action is I'm going to be lifting my right knee, okay? And then I'm going to send it behind my left, okay? So that's the first thing. That's what's going on with the leg, all right? So right knee comes up, and then I'm going to send it behind my left leg, And the weight in my right foot is all on my toes and the balls of my feet. So it's not necessarily flattened, it's up a little bit, okay? All right, so lift and extend. Now, the second element is my stick, which was right beside my right foot. It's gonna stay there, but I'm gonna cross the stick across the front side of my body, so it's in my right hand. And then I'm gonna reach underneath with my left hand and press down. Okay, that act of pressing down is gonna really engage and stretch that right lateral side through your lats and your serratus anterior. It's gonna cause those muscle fibers to lengthen. Okay, so let's try that actively. All right, so here we go. Stick is in my right hand, right at about 3 o'clock next to my right pinky toe. Okay, lift that right knee, send it behind your body, crossing. Okay, now we're rotating across the front side of our body with the stick. So now it's in my right hand, but it's outside of my left shoulder. Left hand's reaching underneath, grabbing that stick and pushing. Now, I'm getting length through this right side. Okay, come back to center. We're gonna do this 4 more times, 5 times in total on each side. And I want you to really think about the areas that we want to be feeling this. So I'm gonna continue to articulate that so you can continue at home to make these adjustments to find these muscle areas, okay? I know it's hard over live streaming to do this, but all right, so stick by the right pinky toe, lift that right knee, send it behind your hip, crossing onto the balls of your feet. All 5 digits are into the ground. Now, right hand's gonna cross in front, sending the stick across the body. Shoulder stays down. Now, left hand's gonna reach down, right, straight down, grasp that stick, grip it, and push down. So you might feel some energy bending your stick. I mean, if you have a broom handle, I guess you can't do that element. I don't want you to break your broom handle, but we're trying to create some energy, straightening that left arm and stretching that right arm and right side body. Good, come back to center. Okay, lift the knee, extend behind, reach, and stretch. So I'm feeling this right now from right armpit to my right hip and coming all the way around my right hip. Okay, come back to center. 2 more, extend back, cross the body, reach under with the left hand. Good, okay, last time on this side. Right knee up, extend back and behind on my toes, cross the body, grab the stick with my left hand. Good. And back to center. Okay, let's take the stick to the left hand now and try that same thing. Okay, so first time, stick is at 3 o'clock, right by that left pinky toe. I've got the stick in my left hand. So I'm gonna raise my left knee, cross it behind, plant. Okay, now cross in front of my body with the left arm. So now it's near my right shoulder. Right arm reaches down underneath, and I'm gonna grab that stick. Good, okay, come back to center and return. Now there is some element there, like you want to keep your core very engaged as you come back to center. I don't want your foot hitting the ground right away. We want to use some coordination, drawing our knee back to original position and then returning to the earth. So be mindful about this, okay? All right, knee up, send it back and behind, plant into the ground, cross the body with the stick, reach down with the right hand, and it's actually pretty near my right knee, and press down gently, okay? Now, Your shoulder, your left shoulder should not have ridden up too high, okay? I don't want it in front of your chin. It should be down and relaxed, and we're trying to get that stretch underneath the armpit. Good, okay, bring the stick back, bring the knee back, and foot back down to the ground. Repeat, knee up, extend back, drop the stick across your body, reach down with that right hand. Good, 2 more. Left knee, back behind, cross. Good, stick back, return. And last time, knee up, send it behind into your curtsy, cross your body with the stick, reach and grasp it with the right hand and press away. Good, okay, and knee back up and foot back to the ground. Okay, that was a really interesting application of that stretch. By the end, I could feel my obliques on that opposite side really working hard to stabilize my spine from the other side that was stretching. So that was kind of some interesting internal analysis I had going on. All right, so let's go ahead and take the stick into the right hand now, and we'll stride forward into our split stance. Okay, now let me change my positioning here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm in my nice split stance. I'm gonna use the stick or not use the stick, but I'm gonna focus on single leg stretch here with my hamstring. Okay, so I'm gonna melt forward in my hinge onto that left thigh that's out in front here. Good, I'm gonna hinge back up. We have a tendency when we're in a single leg stretch like this to not hinge, to actually round through our spine. So I want you to pay particular awareness of your core here and focusing on a hinge and not a round, okay? Exhale and hinge forward. Light hand on the stick for balance as you need it. That left foot is probably being a little bit more active into the ground because he's primarily responsible now for your balance. All right, hinge, back up to the upright. And last time, exhale and hinge forward. Now, as you're able, put the stick onto the ground right next to you and plant your hands underneath your shoulders and widen your stance, sending your right heel back so we get a little bit more of a stretch in that calf muscle. Good. Now from this position, I want you to make sure that that right hand is firmly planted on that right, underneath that right shoulder. And you're going to extend the left arm out from your shoulder. And you're going to spiral at the waist, reaching for the ceiling, left fingertips to the ceiling, right hands down on the ground. We're in a runner's lunge here, lifted with left foot forward, right foot back. Good, okay, spiral that left hand back down. We're gonna reach for our stick and come back to standing, and we're gonna switch sides, okay. All right, so the stick is now in your right hand. Your right foot is forward, your left foot is back. Make sure your toes are pointed straight, all your headlights are straight. Right knee is bent, left leg is straight. And we're working on this hinge. Okay, so our back's engaged, maintaining our neutral. Exhale as we hinge forward toward that right thigh. And try not to look straight ahead. At this point here, because we're maintaining a neutral spine, our gaze should be straight down toward the ground. Hinge back up to standing. Exhale and hinge back, melting towards your right leg. Spine is nice and neutral. Exhale, right heel digs into the ground to activate that hamstring. Engage your core, come back up. And exhale one last time, back down. Good, and from here, we're gonna lower our stick back down, and we're gonna put our hands under our shoulders and lengthen our left leg back, trying to drive that heel toward the ground and get a calf stretch. So not focusing on that right leg, now we're getting some left leg stretch. Heel down as far as we can. Good, now plant that left hand onto the ground, palm down, right under left shoulder. Extend right arm out from your shoulder, spiral at the waist. Now your ideal position here is shoulders stacked in parallel. Right fingers reaching for the ceiling, left hand down on the mat. And you should feel this all the way down the right side of your hip. You may feel it in behind your right shoulder as that posterior deltoid is working to help rotate and bring your arm up into that position. Good, spiral that hand back down. Bring your feet together and then come back to standing. Nice, all right, so you should have gotten some good glute stretching out of that sequence. All right, now we're gonna do just a tiny bit more rotational stretching work. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring the stick behind our hips. All right, we're gonna have a nice wide grip here on our sticks. So our hands are not behind our hips. They're lengthened and long with palms facing me, and feet are nice and wide into the ground. And we're gonna just start here, slowly rotating, putting a little bit more pressure on the stick with the one hand that's in front. So as I'm twisting to the right, my right hand goes behind and my left hand is pushing just a little bit. And visualize your spine, this movement like wringing out a washcloth. We're not bending, we're just twisting. Good, and now we're gonna move into our hinge with our hands behind the stick. And we're gonna work through the movement, the slap shot series, okay? So you want to make sure that your feet are nice and widely spread here, okay? Because the more narrow they are, the actual less range of motion you get in this sequence. Okay, so feet are nice and wide, hands are extended. We're gonna hinge forward. And once you reach your hinge with your back parallel to the ground or as close to it as you can, then we're gonna rotate and press your right hand toward the ground. So turning the stick and ideally planting it right in between that spot, right at your midline between both feet. Okay, then gaze up, turning your gaze over toward your left shoulder, looking at your left hand, which should be at the top of your stick. Keep your weight centered on both feet for now. Breathe in this position. Relax through your jaw if you're clenching. Now exhale, slowly release the stick from the ground and rotate back to center and come back to upright. We're gonna do that again, driving for a little bit bigger range of motion, okay? All right, so first step, exhale and hinge. Inhale, exhale, and twist. Now you're gonna try to move that stick a little bit closer to your left foot as you're able. Okay, still keeping your weight even on both feet. Just take your gaze over your left shoulder. Try to think long left arm, long right arm. You may start to feel this stretch in your arms, in your inner thigh. We're keeping that weight even on both feet for now. Relax in your neck. Good. Now unplug the stick, rotate back to center, and rise. Good. The last element, we're going to flex in the knee, okay? So if you were able to take that stick past the midline, that's the goal again. Bring it as close to the left foot as you can. All right, so let's get back to that and then we'll talk through the next steps, okay? All right, soften the knees just a little bit. Exhale as you hinge, flat back. Draw a breath here. Exhale as you twist, bringing right end of the stick toward that left foot. Now you're gonna bend the right knee, straightening the left leg as you gaze over that left shoulder. And here you're driving extra rotation. So you're really gonna heighten everything that you felt before. So heavy weight in that right foot, left leg is straight, but not bearing much of the weight at all here. Good, now to come out of this, straighten that right leg, balancing your center of gravity over the midline, unplug the stick, rotate back to the center and rise. Okay. All right, good work. Now we're gonna go the other side, okay? So if you need to take the stick out, shake out that arm, that got that deep, intense stretching. All right, so now we're ready to go to the other side. Ready? Relaxing breath. Exhale as you hinge. Exhale as you press the left end of the stick down toward the midline, plant it into the ground, gaze up and over that right shoulder, and relax. Lengthen through your arms. Good. Unplug the stick, rotate back to the center, rise. How's it feeling? Feels good, Jen. Good. All right. Ready? Hinge. Exhale. Melt. Back is parallel. Inhale. And exhale. Relax as that left hand reaches for that right foot. Plant the stick. Gaze up and over the right shoulder. But weight stays even in both feet. Center of gravity is maintained. Lengthen through your arms. Good. Now unplug the stick, rotate back to center and rise. All right, last time, here's the intense version of the stretch as you are able, okay? So check in with your grip, nice and wide. Check in with your feet. That stance should be nice and wide. Exhale as you melt down, hinging. Grab a breath here. Slowly exhale as you rotate, drawing right or left hand to right foot. And then as you're able, bending that left knee, straightening that right leg, taking more weight into that left leg. Gaze up and over that right shoulder. Good, okay, press back up to standing, weight is even. Unplug the stick and rotate back to center and rise. All right, nice. Okay, now we're gonna go down to the mat, and so grab your yoga straps. If you don't have a yoga strap, a rope would work well from your bathrobe, or if you had a clean rope in your garage or a jump rope, all those elements would be great. Okay, so now I'm gonna take the yoga strap and wrap it around my right foot, and I'm gonna lay flat on the ground. And I have the strap in both hands, and I wanna start off with a really pretty relaxed positioning where I'm visualizing the imprinting of my body onto the ground, onto my mat. I want to keep my hips down. I want to keep my shoulder blades down. And then I'm going to slowly start lifting my right leg. And I want to keep it pretty dead and pretty straight into this strap. Okay, and I'm going to slowly begin contracting through my biceps. My elbows are in toward my ribs. Pulling my foot across the top of the ceiling. Keeping my pelvis down, creating length in that hamstring. My foot is nice and straight up there for now. I'm accessing these deep hamstring muscles right in the back of my leg first. Visualizing it getting softer and longer, just 1 millimeter at a time. Very slowly softening. Good. Now slowly release the tension. Take your leg back down a little bit. And now we're going to twist that leg. We're going to anteriorly rotate. So our right big toe is going to start moving more toward our midline, and our heel is going to rotate the opposite direction. I'm trying to access this outer hamstring now, okay? So I'm gonna move the straps into my left hand. I have a little bit of heel energy going on here to create length, but I'm keeping my pelvis down into the mat. Now your range of motion may not seem as big as it did with the general hamstring stretch, and that's okay. Exhale as you are slowly contracting through the bicep to create a little bit of stretch there, a little tension. Good, now release, go ahead and bend that knee, draw it into your chest. Good, okay, let's switch feet. So now I have the strap around the arch of my left foot, and I'm starting with legs down onto the ground so I can make sure I'm resetting my pelvis. Anchored to the mat, shoulder blades anchored, straps in both hands. Now that leg's gonna start coming up. I'm keeping it as straight as I can. Contracting through the bicep, keeping my lats heavy into the mat as my foot moves up the ceiling toward the top of my head, toward my nose. Relaxing into the stretch, no gripping. All right, release a little bit of tension in your yoga strap. Now we're going to internally rotate, sending that left big toe toward your right hip. All right, the straps are now in my right hand. And now I'm going to contract through my bicep to start lifting that leg away from the left side of my pelvis. I'm feeling that stretch strongly in the outside, kind of behind my left knee cap, my knee pit, as it were, climbing all the way up the outside of that leg. Good. Now bend at the knee, drawing it into the chest. Okay, now we're going to keep the yoga strap behind that left leg, and we're going to cross that right leg and plant the right ankle right above the right ankle on top of the left knee. And I have the yoga straps above my figure 4 position, which is what I'm in. So I have kind of cross leg. And I have my right elbow into the meaty part of my right thigh. And I'm focusing on relaxed in the shoulder blades and hips. Again, as I contract through my biceps, bringing my left knee closer to my chest and getting a stretch in my right glutes. Try to relax through the neck and shoulders. Good, relax. We're going to switch feet. So we'll take the strap into the arch of the right foot and then cross the left ankle or right above it to right below or on top of the right knee. So right inside of it, okay? And the straps are above my figure 4 in both hands. My left knee is in the meaty part of my left thigh. My right knee is bent and soft. That's not where the energy is. Okay, I'm gonna pull, I'm gonna do a contraction through the bicep, pulling that right knee toward my chest. My left elbow is trying to open up, creating this energy of pushing the left knee away from my hip. And that's really gonna drive more energy into this stretch, lengthening that piriformis muscle. Breathe through the stretch as you continue to contract, maybe just a little bit more in the biceps, bringing the knee a little bit closer. Good, now relax. You can set the yoga straps off to the side, lower the right foot to the ground, cross the left knee over, and then we're slowly gonna allow that twist of legs to fall over to the right side. Okay, and tee out your arms as well as you're able and gaze to the left. Check in with your positioning. Your goal is to have shoulder blades on the ground. So if you're not quite there, you can bring your hands down closer towards your hips. And then start analyzing where you're gripping in your legs. Releasing in your inner thighs. And behind the knees. You can reach up with that right hand, apply a little bit more pressure to that left knee, get a little bit more rotation in the back. Good, okay, let's take our knees back to center and switch. So right foot is down, right knee's crossed over. That twisted knees are gonna fall to the left side and you take your gaze to the right. Check in with your shoulder blades, make sure they're flat on the mat, and then start examining where you're hanging on to your tension in your legs. Maybe reach up with that left hand. Place it on that right knee, apply some gentle pressure. Good. Now draw your knees back up to center. And you can extend your legs and with your arms extended out to your sides. Just a couple of deep inhales and exhales. And then roll over totally onto your side. And I'm on my right side. I'm going to press my left palm onto the ground, pressing my torso up, right hand onto the mat, and then I'm back to my seated position. And that is today's stretch class. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you got a lot out of it today. And I look forward to seeing you all again sometime this week. Or, oh, before I forget, there will be no stretch class next Sunday on Mother's Day. So all of you mothers out there, have a great Mother's Day and enjoy your Sunday.